Hello everybody, it's Carol with Refunction Crafts again, and today I decided that I had one of these sugar shakers, and I decided that I wanted to do one. This came from the Dollar Tree and it was clear all the way. I painted this section white, left the top clear so that the top can still screw on. The only thing that I noticed about these Dollar Tree sugar shakers is the lids go on, but they are like kind of rough. I don't know why that is, but that's okay. I thought I would make this more as not a sugar shaker, because once I put everything on the outside, it's really not going to be something that you want to get real wet or scrub or anything like that. So I'm going to do something a little different with this one. I am going to brush it once I get my napkin Mod Podged. We're going to use this napkin today. You guys all know this is my favorite. And so once we get that decoupaged on here, I'm going to add this piece around the outside of it. And look at the difference that makes just after adding that little border around this. So this is going to be a really, really gorgeous sugar shaker. I actually have two of these, and so I will be making the other one as well, probably similarly to this one, although this was the only one of these that I could find. I have some around here, but this is the only one I could find, so I'm going to have to wait on the second one. So anyway, real quick, I'm going to just read a couple of quotes, and of course my page moved. Let's see, where was I? Not that one. Oh, it was that one. Okay, so the first quote that I'm going to read is, I thought it was pretty cool. It's, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for extraordinary destiny." I think we all have an extraordinary destiny ahead of us, and you know, that day, when that day comes, it's going to be amazing and wonderful and everything else, but we have to suffer through some hardships here before we get there and get to learn what our final destiny is going to be. So yeah, we have to go through it to get past it and to move on to better things. And I think our destiny is absolutely a better thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. Here's another one. "If you can imagine it, you can create it. If you can dream it, you can become it." And that's by William Arthur Ward. And the first one that I read was by C.S. Lewis. So anyway, there's a couple of inspirational quotes for you guys to think about. And we're going to go ahead. Let's see. Oh goodness, I had my Mod Podge right in front of me yesterday. And of course it's, oh, here it is. And this is my mat. That's what I want. And I'm going to grab a brush real quick. Let's see, which one do I want? This one, if it's not too stiff. Some of my brushes have gotten kind of stiff because I didn't get all of the oogies out of them when I washed them, so they're kind of stiff. I'm just going to open these little cheapy ones that I got from the Dollar Tree and use them. That will work just fine because I don't need a whole lot of this. I'm just going to be decoupaging this on and this, and then I'm hoping this will stick with the Mod Podge. I'm not sure because it's a little heavier paper, but we're going to give it a shot regardless. So let's go ahead. I sprayed this with my Rust-Oleum paint and primer, the spray can paint that I get at Home Depot. I put 2 coats of paint on this. Because it's a jar, I like to cover it a little bit more, and the first coat pretty much did cover it, but I wanted to put a second coat. I usually do put a second coat on most things. But I definitely wanted to on this because it's glass and I want it to really be white, 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 white. So I used matte, and it's the matte finish. So it almost looks like a chalk paint. So that is what I used to paint it with. And I know I've showed you guys the can of the Rust-Oleum paint that I use a few times in videos. So I'm just going to put this, let's see, I think I'm going to put it right about center here. And just kind of brush it on there. And then I also have a piece of what do you call it? I can't even, cellophane to work the wrinkles out of this with. So I will be using that as well, because I think you guys can probably see I do have quite a few wrinkles in this right now, but that's okay. Those are going to come out, as you'll see in just a moment. I'm going to get a nice coat of the Mod Podge kind of on the outside of this so that the cellophane doesn't stick to it. And I don't have to worry about the Mod Podge fading the image on this because it is a napkin, and the napkins don't fade because they're not printed with an inkjet printer like mine are. And the images that you get off of an inkjet will fade. They will always tell you if you want to print images that you're going to use for decoupaging or things like that, to try and use a laser jet printer because the ink is different. It's a dry ink rather than a wet ink, and so it doesn't smear or fade when you put the image on something, when you put something over the top of it. But I use my inkjet and I've had really good luck, but the reason for that is that I'm not using Mod Podge over my images when I'm putting them on anything. I am using Mod Podge on the back side when I put it down, and then on the top I cover it with resin. And the resin absolutely does not fade it, so that's a good thing. And this has, you know, a little bit uneven edges on it, but that's okay because we're going to be putting this over the top of it. So what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping this is going to work, keep your fingers crossed, you guys, that I can get this to stick. I'm just going to put a good amount of Mod Podge on there so that it will soak through enough to get this to want to stick real well. And I'm just going to lay this over the top. I've got to get some up here and some down here. And it looks like I need to go out even further here. I need to just make sure I put enough on here that all edges are going to touch that Mod Podge. Okay, so that is about where it's going to go. And I'm going to just sort of press this down and pray. I think it's going to work. It feels like it's going to be fine. Look at how beautiful that is, though, just with that little border going around the outside of that image. So pretty. And then what I'm going to do after I Mod Podge this on, I am going to go and go off camera, and I'm going to dry it very quickly so that we can continue working. I have a lot of luck just using my heat gun. It's very kind of loud though, so I prefer to use it off camera when I'm drying my bits. You guys know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hold the dryer over the heat gun over the outside of it. I have a beautiful heat gun that my friend Kim sent me a long time ago, and it is amazing. It dries it so fast. Just making sure I've got all my edges down. And I will be right back. Okay, so we've got that all Mod Podged on there. It looks beautiful. And now all I need to do is, I'm going to get my resin. I am almost out of my resin again. And I have more coming, I hope, quickly. But I'm looking for one of my little cups. Huh. What did I do with them? I had a whole bunch of them here. Let's see. What can I use? What can I use? Let me close up my Mod Podge real quick, because we are done with that. And again, this is the plaid Mod Podge, not Mod Podge, it's Mod Podge, decoupage, and it is in matte. So that's what I use. I like the matte and I like the gloss, depending on what I'm doing. I will use either one, but again, it depends on what I'm doing, what I'm making or creating that day. And let's see, I want a fairly soft brush, I think, but I do want a bigger brush than I was using on the Mod Podge. So I'm going to take this brush and hope it's not like way too big, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. And actually, I think I need to take this off for a minute because I want any resin that I'm putting on there to drip downward. And I don't think I'm going to need a ton of this, but because I'm just going to put a thin coat over the outside. That way it will allow this to get wet and not be destroyed. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. So I'm just going to dip my brush in here, and this resin is not dirty or gunky. There's some colored resin at the bottom of this, but I have cured it so that it won't mix in with anything I pour in the cup. So that way I could continue to use the cup. And I'm glad I saved it because I needed it. I thought I know I have some other ones here, but I've probably put them away. I'm going to kind of try and brush this down to about right there, and then at the very end I'll go around the bottom half and make sure that the bottom part is also covered. And it will give it a little bit of sheen, and it will look amazing with the resin over it. Just gives it a finished look. You don't see people brushing resin on too often, but I am doing it, and I'm doing it a little differently than those who do brush it on, because usually they have the piece on a rotating wheel, like on a lathe, and they brush it on as it's spinning around on the lathe. And I don't have that luxury. Although my husband does have a lathe, I am not experienced at using it, and I thought, what the heck, this will be easy enough. So I've got that on there, and what I'm going to do now, I gotta put this brush somewhere, is I'm going to take my lamp here, move that out of the way, and I'm just going to look at it, make sure I don't have any drip marks. I have a couple of them here at the bottom that I need to brush out. This is why you always want to check before you start really going to town with curing it, because you don't want those drip marks to show. And I'm just going to start, I've got my lamp on 120 right now, and I'm just going to hover over the jar, and it'll start to cure pretty quickly, so that I can spin it around and start hovering it over the other side, and then I'll just set my my lamp right over the top of it and let it shine down over the edges and finish curing it. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to shut my camera off for just a moment. Okay, so now I've got it all resined, and you can see now it's shiny all the way around, and I can touch it. I resined it, actually I went around it and sat in the different locations, so I probably actually cured it for about 9 or 10 minutes total, all the way around the jar. So I wanted to make sure that it was good and cured before I start messing with it, because I don't want to put a bunch of fingerprints and things on it. So I just wanted to make sure I did my due diligence here. So the other thing that I kind of want to do is I'd like to put, this is some rhinestone and pearl trim that I have here that I got from Debbie over at Bird's Place. And I'd kind of like to put that around the inside edge of this, like that. And I think that's going to look absolutely gorgeous. And what I want to do is I do want to resin that on. So I'm hoping that I can do that and have it stay exactly where I want it to stay while I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm going to get one of my little sticks here, and I have my little cup with the resin still in it. Whatever was left from doing the outside of the jar. And I'm just going to put a nice little coat of that around the edge of this. And then I think it will look really nice to have that rhinestone trim going around the inside of this. It will kind of finish it off. So this will take just a minute. We're going to go around it. I'm going to lay the rhinestones down, and then again put my UV lamp over the top of it and let it cure, but I won't have to do it for as long with these rhinestones because I'm just putting a tiny bit of resin on there, and it should cure fairly quickly. So I'm just going to kind of start laying this down and hope, the thing that I have to hope for is that I can get it to lay straight, not straight, but curve along with the curves on this and not look all crooked and funky. So I do have to sort of take my time in doing this bit here, and I haven't cut it because I don't know exactly how long it needs to be, and I don't want to cut it before I've got it figured out. So, but I think this is going to work really, really well, actually. It looks like, you know, with a little bit of coaxing. I'm going to cut it right there. Oh my word, where's my nippers? There they are. I forgot to get those out and handy. I'm going to cut it right there and bring it around, and then hope that I can get these 2 points that are together here to stay and not want to run away from the rest of the chain, because see, it wants to kind of move right there because it's got the freedom of not pulling against the rest of the chain. So I may have to end up having to use something to kind of hold it in place for a second until the resin starts to cure a little bit. But I'm going to take my little stick here and work at getting this just right without any wonky bits that are kind of sticking out or wobbly. So I do apologize, you guys. This part takes a little bit of time, but we don't want to ruin this because it's going to be really, really beautiful. I do feel like I've got 2 pearls together right there, and I don't want that. And I know I can cut that one off, and it's still going to meet in the middle. So I had to cut that off. Okay, so let's get this up together here. It just keeps wanting to slip on this edge. The other edges are doing really, really well. And if you've got shaky hands, that's where this job is a little bit rough. And I do sometimes have shaky hands, and it feels like today is kind of one of those days. And I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go like this and sort of turn it so that this edge doesn't feel like it wants to slide off. Because like I said, the other edges are doing pretty good with staying in line. So if we do that here, I think we're going to save ourselves some trouble. Let me look at it straight up. This part looks like it needs to go out a little bit. Sorry, you guys. I can see the edge of the paper, and I can see that it's in a little bit more than where I've got it. Okay. Right there. Right there. And I think we are looking pretty good, except I turned it again. My word. Okay, I'm going to have to just get this right over here and get this under the light very quickly so that it stays in place. So here we go. Light on. And I've got it set on 120 seconds, but as long as I get this over that spot for about 10 seconds, the rest of it will be fine. So there we go. So we're just going to set that over the top and let it do its thing. Okay, we got it, you guys. Okay, so we have our pearl and rhinestone trim. It's actually looking awesome right here. Right here I see a little spot where I've kind of come over, but what I will be doing is putting something up in that corner, so I'm not going to worry too terribly much about that right now. So what I want to do next is I'm debating. I've got this trim to put to the top, or I've got this beautiful rhinestone trim that Robin sent me to go over the top. And I've just got to decide which one I want to put on there. That looks really beautiful hanging down. But this looks really beautiful with the whole thing. It just kind of goes really well with it. So originally this is what I planned on using. And then I saw that other trim sitting there hanging in front of me and I thought, uh-oh, which do I want to go with? But I really think, honestly, that this is going to be the one that I want to use. And I'm going to put that there and I'm going to put it across the bottom as well. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to start putting this trim on. And I'm going to start so that that's going to go to the back. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue right there and get this first one down. And then we'll start moving around the jar. I'm going to do this side first. And I'm going to do a small amount at a time, especially with my shaky hands. Although this pretty much kind of lays down straight because you have a guide with the top of the jar right here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not only going to hot glue this, I am going to use a little bit of resin to make sure that I get this down and make it stay down. So, because we all know that you use hot glue on hard surfaces, it generally will not stay. And I don't want this to be something that's going to fall apart in a week when somebody purchases it. That's not cool. So we are going to do this right. But it will be worth it in the end. It'll be worth the extra time that we spend in the end. Now this last little guy here, I think I have to actually cut a couple of pearls off of it because it's going to be too long. So we're going to go maybe a little bit more. I need to use my scissors. There we go. Yeah, that'll be perfect. And yeah, we've got one that's cut off a little bit, but that's towards the back, so it's not going to be that big a deal. So, okay. So there's that one. Now let's go ahead and put the bottom on. And I didn't quite get to that last one there. Okay, so now let's start on the other side. I'm trying very hard not to get too many strings going across this jar, but I don't think I'm gonna do so great at that. Just comes along with the territory of using hot glue. And this one, I think I can actually cut it off at that one because they're going to come together pretty close on this one. So, because it's a little bit thicker down here. So, those came together really nicely. Okay. So there's that, and look at how beautiful that looks, you guys. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm super excited about this. And then I'm going to take my resin cup here, and I'm gonna dab some resin in between some of these pearls here. And it's just going to kind of fade into the other resin that we've already got on the outside of this. So it's going to be pretty good. And I don't have to put the lamp on it for too long. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to pop my lamp over it for about 30 seconds. And at the end, I will pop this whole thing under my lamp again for a period of time just to make sure that everything cures and is exactly how I need it to be, so it's all going to stay in place. But for right now, just doing this for a short period of time is going to get it stuck good enough that I can continue working and move on through the project and then get it done. Okay, that should do it on this side. Now we're going to spin it around and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And down at the bottom. And you can see I'm just kind of pushing it into the glass and the pearl trim so that both are meeting the resin, and that's going to hold it together. Same thing I do on a lot of my butterflies and things like that, where I'm adding little bits and pieces. I add a little bit of resin and it holds everything down really nicely for me. Okay, I think that's enough on this side, so let's pop that lamp over it real quick. And there we go. So that's good for now on that. Now I'm just trying to get to these hot glue strings here. I mean, those I can get off later too, but I'm just trying to get as much of it off now as I can. Okay, so there is that, and we are almost done, you guys. I'm gonna take a little bit of lace ribbon and I'm gonna make a bow, so it's not gonna have a super long tail on it. I'm going to take it and do like I always do. I'm going to make a fairly small one. And I think I'm just going to do 2 loops on this one. So I don't want it to be too thick. Cut that off. And then I'm going to tie through the middle and flip it over and tie it off in the back. Just using the same lace that I used on the front. And you can use, I'm sorry, I can't get a hold of it. You can use the extra tail on this and leave it on there, or you can cut it off, whatever you want to do if you want, you know, to have that extra tail, which I will probably keep it on there. I usually do, because I like to have a couple of tails on my bows. Okay, and then we'll take this one and snip it off right about there. And keep your small loop to the front and your larger loop to the back. So your first loop was a little bit bigger than your second loop. That's what gives your bow kind of that effect of, you know, look at that. Ah, it's so pretty. It gives it that fluffier effect. So I'm going to take my glue, going to pop that right there. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? And then you can kind of mess with your bow and fluff it up and do what you got to do to it. But that looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Then, let's see, do I want to, I was thinking about adding maybe one of these butterflies. I could add it to the bow right there. That looks very, very pretty, and it goes nicely with those flowers. It's just a faded pink rose print on the paper that I used to make this one. And it's very elegant and feminine. So we're just going to put that on there. Decision made. And now you also don't see that, that little bump that was in these rhinestones right there. Took that right away, and the rest of this is sitting very, very nicely. So, that is about it, you guys. That's all I planned on doing with this one. Very simple, very elegant. And let's put our lid on. And you can use it for cotton balls or cotton swabs, or, you know, to put in the bathroom or on your nightstand to put whatever you like to throw into a jar in it. Really anything, but look at how gorgeous that turned out, you guys. And I will be making another one. I'm gonna either find these little paper lace doilies there, and these are the ones that are cut out in the middle, and that's why I like these, because they work better as a frame for a lot of the things I want to stick into a frame. Because the other doilies that I have, like these are great if you just want to put something on top of it, but it's not easy to cut out the innards of these. So this is one that I might use on another one, and then just put an image over the outside of it and dress it up that way. I also have, where did I put those little eyes? I have these pretty butterflies. I already have a bag open, but since I don't see them, I've got these pretty butterflies. And one of these would be really pretty on here as well. I'm going to actually cut one out real quick. And see if maybe I might like to use one of these. Towards the bottom. I just have to cut the mesh out of it. So I'm taking my scissors and I'm just going along, cutting off any little edges where it was connected, cutting off this little bit of mesh that's right here. And then there's some extra on the bottom side as well. And since it is 2 layers, you got to remember to cut both layers. The bottom butterfly actually has a tail, or a tail, has the body. Okay, so I've got that all cleaned up. And then if I was to stick that right down here, look at it, looks really beautiful. I'll just take it and stick it in that direction. What do you think, guys? Yes? No? Maybe so? I think it looks very pretty. It just kind of finishes it off. But then it looks very pretty without it too. It's very simple. But I'm going to go for it, you guys. I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to put it on with hot glue. That way if somebody buys this and they don't want that butterfly down there, you can pop that sucker right off of there and scrape the glue off, and you've got what you want. But for me, I kind of like the butterfly there. I think it looks very, very pretty. So that's it, you guys. I thank you for watching this video today and for being a part of my world for an hour or so. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great rest of the week. And I will be seeing you very soon with another video. I've got a couple of things in the works here that I'm working on. Been trying to also work on some orders that I have. Yes, I'm still getting custom orders. And I'm trying not to do too many of them, you guys. I really, really am not a custom order kind of gal. My brain, the way that it works, it likes to do things on the fly. And so I like to come up with a great idea and then just make it. And so when I'm doing custom stuff, then I'm not making what's really going on in my head. that I want to make. I had considered using this eyelash trim for this, but I'm glad I didn't. So anyway, I am working on some custom orders. I still have to get my, giveaways ready for my $50 buyers in my Etsy shop for October, and for my 9,000 subscriber giveaway. So I'm working on those as well. And yeah, so that's it. I hope you liked it. This will be available in my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in purchasing it, you can hop on over there and have a look. It will be there. Thanks a lot, you guys. God bless you. Be safe, be well. Take care of yourselves first. Then you can take care of everybody else. Love your family. Hug them, kiss them as much as you can. Tell them you love them every day if you can. Thanks so much, you guys. God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.